All right, you guys, here we go. Which sport is better? Match 8 of 8. Preliminaries round, prelims, round 1 of the which sport is better competition. So, which sport is better? Last round, we have got bobsled, also known as bobsleigh because they use a sleigh on ice, on a track, an ice track, kind of curved. And so bobsled, or the sport I have difficulty spelling, triathlon. Okay, how are these sports similar and how are they different? Well, one is bobsled, or bobsleigh is a Winter Olympic sport, and triathlon is a Summer Olympic sport. This is conducted on ice in a sleigh. This is as a team, so this is a team sport. This is an individual sport, and it's in water, on a bicycle, and running. And, okay, I have immense respect for both of these sports and the athletes who compete in these sports. Bobsled, it's my favorite sport to watch at the curling's a pretty fun sport to watch too. Bobsled is one I can spend all day watching, speaking from experience, or a good portion of a day watching. I have in Winter Olympics spent as much of my day as I can watching bobsled. And yeah, it is, so okay, how are they similar? So okay, that's bobsled, okay. That's my experience with bobsled. I have not done bobsled. I have done like mini triathlons, not like race pace on my own, and I have not competed in triathlon, but I have swam, biked, and ran both separately and kind of very close together, and similar to a triathlon structure. But I have not competed in a race triathlon. So yeah. That's my experience with these. How are they similar? Is they are both, how to phrase this, both sports require multi-talented athletes. So you can't be successful or even do the sport with only one set of skills. And what I mean by that is in bobsled, so the bobsled team has to be good enough to get enough momentum on their sled when they're pushing it off to travel fast around the track. So kind of the speed of their bobsled is set partially by the track, the ice track, and partially by how fast they can get their sled or sleigh. The bobsled team can get it moving when they push it off. And part of why I say this requires multi-talented like athletes is it's not like running track and field. It is very different. You have, first off, you have your sled, and you are like sprinting and pushing. So it's not just running. You have this large piece of equipment that when you are running, to get it moving, you have to hold on to and get into, which is still just like that in and of itself, just getting it going and getting it in, and that pushing off, that requires so much like skill. Even if you're naturally talented at it, that still requires skill to execute. And so that's very cool. And then once in the sleigh, you have to be able to know how to balance yourself in the sled or sleigh as you go around, as they go around these super sharp corners, and so that the sleigh doesn't tip over or doesn't fall. It doesn't tip over, they don't get hurt and stuff like that. So there's like every single movement, and even just like how far you're tilted by a hair can be the difference between going the sleigh tipping over or going too fast or too slow, and the difference between like a gold or a silver medal, at least as I've seen it kind of play out on TV. And so that's very, very cool. And as someone who has run, it's a very, you don't get the privilege of being upright and free of anything else when you're running as part of a bobsled team. You got your sled that you got to look after. And so there's a bit of just equipment handling while also trying to move very fast, but also trying to position the bobsled so it doesn't like go off the track as soon as okay, great, you're running, but if you push it, one of the people pushes it too far one way, it flips or something like that. So it's not just running while holding something, you also have to work on like team positioning. Like it's incredible every single time they make it, and to see how fast they go too. So that's bobsled. And then triathlon, I was living in South Africa, and there's the Olympic triathlon, which isn't a very long race. A long race is the Ironman competition, which is the same structure. It's just like a super long triathlon. And the run is different. I think it's like, if I'm recalling correctly, it's like a 10K in the Olympic run. So like that's only like 6 point something miles. But the freaking Ironman, if I'm recalling all of this correctly, I haven't checked recently. The Ironman is a marathon run after it's like 100 and some mile bike ride or something like that, or 100 kilometers. It's insane, like in a good way. And an open water swim and this really long bike ride. And even in the Olympics, it's shorter, but it's still like, I know lap swimmers who have not in their lives, they're so tuned to swimming back and forth in a pool, like they can't do the open water swimming, and then to have on top of open water swimming, a bike ride and a run, like that requires extreme physical fitness in multiple sports. And to do it in such a way that all of these, depending on what sport or stroke you do in the water, like your knees can get really heavily hit in triathlon, so that these people can train in such a way they find to not overwork their knees, because a lot of triathloners, they're not like super young. Like a lot of swimmers will be teenagers in triathlon, at least when I was watching triathlon, back when I had a TV a while ago. But a lot of them were in like 20s, 30s, 40s. They're more mature and like diverse experiences, and it was a really cool sport to watch and see kind of who actually ends up being good at triathlon, because like someone can be an amazing swimmer and be terrible at triathlon because they can't run, and stuff like that. So I have immense respect for both of these sports, and I find the athletes who do both very inspiring. And so actually for that reason, I just like glowing over both of these. I'm gonna go in the since I've done a double elimination, and even without the double elimination, both of these sports advance. They're both really amazing sports, and the sport themselves and the athletes, like what it requires to do the sports, are amazing. So both of these sports, bobsled and triathlon, win this round and advance to the playoffs. So which sport is better, bobsled or triathlon? It is a tie. Both are winners and both advance on to round 2, the playoffs of which sport is better.